Hello, fellow Mythrunians. Welcome to another weekly live stream. Although this week we did it twice. If you joined me Wednesday night, thanks for joining me on Wednesday. Tonight we're kind of continuing where we left off. We're trying to get the swings and stuff working for the axe and swords and so on and so forth with the physics and trying to get the activities worked out and the timing and all stuff related to that. It can be kind of tedious, but hopefully a little entertaining and gives us time to talk about stuff because I'll have to run the game like 5 times or 50 times a minute, whatever. Oh, did not update my. I updated this slide and it didn't update. Yeah, we've got it. We picked up a new Patreon, Adrian B, and I had him on here and. But thanks for the patrons. Let me see if I can fix that real quick while you guys watch that boring screen instead of watching me. Why did it not? Oh, it didn't save my changes. I bet I saved them to the wrong location. Oh well. Okay, well, next week, Adrian B will be on there and with a little highlight. And I rearranged some things a little bit. But anyway, thanks again, guys. I lost a couple of patrons recently, so when I pick up new ones, it's always super exciting. So thanks for joining. And let's go ahead and get started. That's me in the upper right corner. In the upper left, that is the link to download the January version of the game. I'm trying to get another release out this weekend. It depends on how quickly I can get everything wrapped up. I may just release anyway. Yeah, see, now that I'm on the camera, my nose is itching again. I've actually been self-conscious about that lately. Even just during the day, I notice, I never scratch my nose during the day. Maybe twice. Okay. So I've already got the game running. What I was doing was, I think this thing is useless, but I might as well pull it up. Since we've got 2 folks on, if you're on, thanks for joining. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. Okay, let's minimize that. And so I have it up. I was basically just before the live stream tweaking the handle positions of the different things to make sure if one of the things we work on tonight is going to be making sure her hand stays on the tool, then I want to make sure her hand starts even on the tool. The thing is, like, during the swings. So the other thing is, right now I have the swings. Let me change the time because. There we go. I have swinging slowed way down, so you can see what's going on, and all the different parts, and the debug logs make sense because everything's going super slow, and that'll let us figure out what part of the activity we're in. So if we do the side-to-side swing, and I currently have that one pegged to only be the pure horizontal, like the Y does not affect it at all. Just for testing, just to see the different, basically watch the swing in action and make sure everything is working. So it's like at quarter speed or something. And eventually, the speed will factor into your strength and how fast you can recover the axe over the shoulder and stuff like that will be based on your character stats. So anyway, I was tweaking to make sure that the handles are actually in the hand, because when it's going full speed, I think her hand is either a frame ahead or a frame behind, and so I wanted to make sure we were in the right ballpark to begin with, because the axe was not in her hand and stuff like that. So I tweaked the axe, the sword, and the pickaxe, and everybody's in her hand. And so real quickly, I will go over sort of the anatomy of the way I've architected these swings, and the because I fixed the overhead swing. It was missing some of the things. So we'll load Blender real quick. The other thing I did was actually put an object in the model's hand here. I think it needs to sag a little bit more to really line up with the game. But this way, as the character runs through its animations, I can watch how I can watch, how it behaves, and like I could put this plane here, and I could make sure that the downward chops through this plane pretty consistently, since that's where the player's little, crosshair reticle thing is. So anyway, then I can step through and make sure that all of the stuff, works. And so what we have is every one of the swing animations will be 2 seconds long. The first second is the swing itself, and then the last second is the recovery to get reset back to the position. So this one's the one that has like the most distinct recovery. So that's the swing and by the time the swing is done, then you'll rapidly move through some recovery period where you're not really using full strength. It's not going to, affect the. I should probably minimize this a little bit so I can still see the chat in case anybody has any questions. So anyway, and prior to my changes today, this animation didn't have the second half. It only went down, and then JMonkey Engine would real quickly reset it back to the top. And so I wanted to control that a little bit more to there's problems. Her hips aren't involved in the swing and so on and so forth, but I'm really kind of just working through the mechanics and making sure everything is distinct and the art can be tweaked later. So anyway, it has a pretty distinct, wind up for the next swing that it's different than the swing itself. Whereas, when we swing left to right, it's actually a mix of, this top swing. She looks ridiculous at the maximum swing up here. Yeah, why is my nose itch when we're on the camera? But still, same thing is doing the first second is the swing that way, and then, it recovers. And originally this was the swing that was used when you could control everywhere you wanted the sword, and so that's why it's it has front and back and so on and so forth. But really what I want to do is come back here and tweak this last half to kind of be more relaxed, drop her arm a little bit, because this one gets mixed with the swing down, which starts here and swings across down. And so depending on whether you're looking high or looking low, this gets mixed in. And so if coming back on this one I also dropped a little bit, then all the mixes would drop somewhere here, and potentially we could control anyway speed of that based on strength, blah 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 blah, dexterity, what have you. But anyway, that's the anatomy of a swing. There's once the swing has actually started, there's the swing itself, and then there's the recovery from the swing to get reset for the next swing. And so every full swing cycle is 2 seconds. We got that? Okay. And so maybe I can make a note, just like hello? Did it lose everything on my whiteboard? It must have. Oh, it's not working actually. Let's just try reloading. So anyway, yeah, okay, so now it's working. I'm trying to think how best to talk about this. So yeah, so essentially we've got if we wanted to look at it linearly, right, you've got, why does it always unselect my pencil? So you've got a ramp up, this is the swing itself, and then there's the return back to resting position, and really what you want is this to be kind of a curve, and this to be a curve also, so it's not just a straight linear shot. There's some kind of smoothing. Anyway, during the swing itself, we want if we're looking at the kinematic scale, when we start, we don't want basically we're not really putting any force into the swing, but we kind of want the curve to look like this and then taper off right at the end, right? So so during the middle towards the end of our swing is where we have the maximum force, and then by the very end we're starting to slow down to get to our return cycle. And for that part, we don't want any kinematic force at all, or we'll scale it to nearly 0. The thing is, like, I haven't decided, whether the kinematic force is going to be involved in, like, whether you can knock cups off the table or whatever when you're swinging back your sword. And so I don't want to necessarily. Well, I want to leave it in my back pocket that I can make it, like, not completely 0, in case it has to be something above 0 in order to knock cups off the table and so on. Because if you're fighting in close quarters or using your axe in close quarters or whatever, the backswing should hit things. But I don't want it to, like, chip away rocks, right? So that's where we are. And so I thought I might do some visualization, like add some visualizations, but I'm not sure I'm ready to do that yet. During some discovery, essentially we're going to work through this together, and it might be a little tedious, hopefully entertaining, but so the swing left activities, basically I just have time minus ramp up. So that's the other thing, is we talked before about how before this even starts, there's a ramp up time, which is the period of time where once you've clicked the button, you can cancel it and no swing happened. And that's also the gap where we can click on things to open chests and open doors and talk to characters and stuff. You have to have held longer than this before the swing starts. And then there's actually a lead up time when in a full swing you do the full swing, and then you have recovery time. But when you start the swing for the first time, you're going from a default pose to swinging, and so there's a little period in here where you are swinging, but the axe is coming from default pose to real pose, and during that time we would want the kinematic force to be 0 also. So there's what's called the let's see, I can actually put text here. So there's the ramp up time, ramp up, and then what's that? Ramp up time. That's super tiny. So anyway, there's the ramp up time. Can I just drag it? Why on earth can I? Yeah, okay, I can just do that. There's the ramp up time. There is the lead in time. I give this information because someday some of you may want to make mods, and one of the things I'm sure that'll be customizable is custom swings and things. It's currently not, but okay, so then you have the lead in, then you have the swing, right? This will be a good diagram. I know it's kind of tedious watching me make a diagram on the live stream, maybe. And then the recovery. And how fast you go through each of these things will be based on character stats and so on. Yeah, so maybe we can kind of draw a dotted line and a little dotted line here. So yeah, let's carry it on down. Okay, so that's kind of what we're dealing with, and the timing of all this, and how it affects physics, and what we watch. So that is the primary focus of what I'm doing. What I want is, so the other thing is, what happens when the player hits something in the middle of the swing? So they hit the rock here. We don't want to continue the swing. We stop the swing. We back it up a little bit. And I'm thinking, if I'm smart, I'll build my animations so that I can come into like the reverse of the recovery and start here, to quickly kind of pull back into recovery to get ready for the next swing. I think that'll work. And so the math is easy because, you know, this is 0 to 1 second, and this is 1 to, oh yeah, you can't see the 1 there. And this is, you know, 2 seconds. So the math is really easy to figure out. Anyway, so that's kind of the diagram we're working from. It says we have 5 people on right now. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave for now the ramp up like that. So X and Y for the left-right activity, you know, like I said, we had that upswing and the downswing, and so the Y, or the pitch, sets how much we mix those two swings together, and then the X sets the time within, you know, that 0 to 1, 1 to 2, you know, setup. And so we subtract the ramp up, and then currently I have it linear. I had like more complicated stuff up here with the lead in and so on and so forth, but for now I was just trying to see it run and loop it 2 seconds, and then just force the Y into the middle. And I tried to quantize it to these different things, but I never saw, I would see X equals 0, but the animation would never play the first frame, and so that was kind of weird. I think there's probably something in the client-side math that treats 0 special or something. It has to be 0.001 or something. And so the other thing is I added a speed, and eventually speed will be based on, you know, player stats, where like 1 being the maximum, and then it could be slowed as far as like 0.9. 0.25 is obviously too slow. But based on the weight of the object, or the mass of the object, and your own strength, you know, would control the speed and some other parameters. But not today. Today we're just trying to get the math right and the kinematic right. And so I think let's right now set the kinematic scale equal to, we want to clamp it. I don't think I have a easy clamp. Well, it'll never be less than 0, so we'll what I want is this curve, right? So when it's 0, I want it to be 0. When it's 1, I want it to be 0, but I want it kind of shifted. If we made an even curve, that's fine, but it will act a little weird because I really want the curve to be slanted here, and so maybe we'll just make it go straight over to here using you know, a smooth step, which I always have to, you know, the Hermite spline or whatever, I always have to look up the math. Chill cell smooth step. I have it actually all over the place. I could cut and paste, but the nice thing about these, they tell you what the math is, right? So you can, so sort of quickly make a smooth step. Double smooth step, double T. Alrighty. Oh yeah, they want edge and clamp, but I'm just doing 0 to 1. So if T is less than 0, return 0. If T is greater than 1, return 1. And then we can do the math, which is, we already know T is between 0 and 1, so we can just say return T times 3.0 minus 2.0 times T. And that right there will give you if you have a linear thing that goes like this, and you input that, you will get something that looks like this, right? Nice smooth transition. The other thing I could have done, so the other kind of curve that I use a lot is the parabolic function. So if you just square 0 to 1, if you just square it, and then you get a curve like this, which is also useful. But for now, we want more of it to be, you know, big, especially towards the end. So I think the smooth step will be better. And probably it's going to be a combination of some things. But that's perhaps, without a graphing tool to play with, that's probably more boring than I can get away with on the channel here. So kinematic scale, we want that to be, well, kinematic, so if x is greater than 1.0, kinematic scale equals 0. Oh, that's a GLSL habit, by the way. Otherwise, we will smooth step the time. Okay, so if we run this, we should see that our smooth step, like I have it set to dump, did I name it? I spelled it correctly, that's all. I capitalized it correctly. I dump all of the, I'm not dumping the kinematic scale. I should dump that here instead of where I am. Actually, we'll just call it KS. So, reminder, kinematic scale is like, there's a force being calculated at the, you know, for the, you know, axe or sword or whatever itself. And this basically scales that up or down. And right now it doesn't, though. 0 just means ignore. And so, but eventually it will, and we might get into that tonight if I can do some quick visualizations of sort of what an impact looks like. I think I already did that. So anyway, or maybe I did that as part of one of these live streams, and that was in scripts, and I took it out, but we'll see. All right, so what was I doing? Oh, yeah, I was running it. Oh, we want to take out the other one that's... so that's in the contacts, that's fine. Yes, let's get rid of that. Hope you all are having a good week and have some cool plans for the weekend. This is my first weekend where I don't have specific plans. I have to take my youngest to a musical rehearsal, but my day is otherwise my own. So I work on Mythruna. Yeah, since my dog passed away a couple weeks ago, this week I've been trying to walk like 1.5 miles, because the dog forced me to walk 3 or 4 times a day, and I kind of miss the walking, and it's just easy exercise. So then I get up in the mornings, and we've had like 90 to 100 degree heat here, Fahrenheit, by the way, for those of you who aren't in freedom units. I don't know what that translates to in Celsius, but it's hot. Whatever your body temperature is, it's about that hot. Okay, so we will do this so we can see, and we will watch the debug output at the bottom as I run through the swing. And so kinematic, all the way up to 1, and then it's 0. And then 0 all the way back, and then all the way up, and then 0. Cool. So that's doing what it's supposed to do. If we come over here, like I've chopped up all my stuff, and it's not as easy to test with now. So one of the reasons I left the pitch fixed to 0.5 is because that way I can go up here and I can watch it from above, which is kind of cool. So if we come up here, we should be able to hit that bonk, 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 right? But if we're here and we're coming back, it actually won't. It'll just stop the animation. Ooh. It did, though. Huh. That is very interesting. We had the kinematic scale was definitely set to 0. So if we just check that again. We do a thing like this, and then we bonk. Yeah. It took it out, didn't it? There must be another thing setting the kinematic scale. Or for a second it went to 1. No, that can't be right. How do I debug something that happens in real time? So I'm still logging what we set the scale to during the contact. Set case scale. Okay, it was set super, super small. But it shouldn't have been set at all. Yeah, so here, I can't point to it because if I release the mouse, it's going to go scrolling away. But if you can see, rarely at where to go. Oh yeah, right. Come on, there. Right at the top of my thing says set K scale equals 0.1, and I moved again. But then immediately we start backing up because the update's still happening. So I think we need to model recovery. Yeah, that's what I think needs to happen. We need to model recovery. So we'll get it right in the left-right swing and then transfer that. So what happens is we, in the code up here, not here, here, when we get a contact, we tell the activity, you know, the swing, that we got that contact, and it does some things with it. If we're less than lead time, it ignores it. Otherwise, we just move back our time, which is not right at all. We need to be in recovery mode. We need to be outside of that 0 to 1 window. Because we're going to, down here, we reset the time, but that's not right either. We need to recover. So let's work on that. Let's leave time natural. So we will not be monkeying with time directly, although we will. We do still want to calculate some blowback, but what we're going to do is we're going to mirror. So if we're here in the swing, like I said, rather than just pulling back, which is just going to let the math start adding swing to us again. So what happens is we're on the recovery swing and we hit something, and first of all, the recovery swing doesn't know that the contact stuff doesn't know we're in recovery. So that's one problem we got to fix. And then if even when we're not in recovery, we should be jumping over there. So there's a bunch of things have to happen here. And I think if the time is less than the lead in, that's fine. We just go back to the time is less than the lead in. We want the, that's the other thing, is we're basing time on ramp up, but the kinematic scale should be based on, I think maybe that's okay. Okay. So the issue is I'm treating lead in as part of this 0 to 1 in my math, but I think lead in should be separate for considering whether we're in a swing or not. So we'll leave it whatever the minimum is. So I leave a lot of my code around to remember what I did. So we'll make it look like this diagram. The swing doesn't even start until, actually I had it start here, but so the swing doesn't even start until, lead in time. Can I erase just that? I think I did the whole. Yeah, okay, I can. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so that's the way we'll do it. The lead in is not part of the swing. So that's it. That's it. Okay, so that means in the context, if we're less than the lead in, we don't do anything. We do want to make sure, just in case, kinematic scale set to 0. And I'm going to have to go back and make this not 0 but min scale or something so that we could potentially set it higher than 0 for the baseline. Okay, and then so if time is greater than 1, we're in recovery. Else, actually, why don't we say less than or equal to 1, we're in the swing. Else, we're in recovery. And actually, it's t equals time minus lead in. That's the actual time. And so if that's less than 1, we're in the swing. Otherwise, we're in recovery. If we're in the swing, we do want to calculate some blowback. Blowback equals scale times 0.5. That means that the blowback is pretty huge. Let's say let's see what happens if we don't do any blowback and we just mirror the coordinate. And so what we want is whatever part of 0 to 1 we're in, we want to be that far away from 2. So we're going to say 2 minus whatever t is. So like t equals 2 minus t, right? That should flip us around so that the time is, we're now here in the sense of the curve. Gosh, I hope this is interesting to everyone. I don't, there's no chats today, so. So anyway, and then we want to set kinematic scale will take care of itself on the next update because we're in the range where kinematic scale goes to 0. But we need to set the time equal to lead in plus t. So basically we're undoing this basis calculation here. Now if we're in recovery, I think so we're swinging back towards 0 effectively, and we hit something. What do we want to do? Maybe we just want to keep going for now. So I'm going to ignore that. So let's take these out for now. Y equals pitch we still need. Yeah, so here's the exponent curve that I was doing. Okay, and we don't want to set this. So now we should be okay. If we're in recovery, we won't do anything. We'll continue swinging back. But probably we want to reverse a little bit. But never more than what takes us back behind 1.0. Anyway, we'll deal with that in a second. I think this gets us closer to what we want, but let's just see. Now, a question is the chat working? Hello, the chat. Just making sure it's working. Yep, okay, good. That's fine then. Okay, whoa. I must have commented out my, yeah. I did. Okay, what else is missing? X. Got a little thing. X also doesn't. Okay, so X is a straight shot at the moment. It's always going to be. Oh yeah, so let's just do this for now. So X is time minus lead in, and we clamp it to 2 just in case. And then we'll set Y to be halfway. Okay, just try that. Boop, boop, boo, ba-doop, boop, boo. Trying to see how much junk you can see behind my head. Maybe that's what I'll do this weekend when I'm not working on Mythruna, is clean my office. Because the rest of my house is so clean right now. I love it. My family in general is kind of on the messy side. And my inclination is to be more on the clean side, but I gave up on that a long time ago. But we had to clean the house for the party, for my son's grad party, and it's still clean, so we're trying to keep it that way. Okay, so let's see. We should not. It should go back and do nothing. Yep, it moves us out of the way. Cool. That's perfect. Okay, so forward swing should still do it. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Yeah, so she's slow. Lots of chat lag again. Oh man, I'm sorry. Yes, so why did it not stop her forward chop? I'm gonna have to like pull the build wand out and so why when we hit the wall did we not stop? Bonk. Oh, we did. That time we did. Bonk, bonk, bonk. See, that time we didn't. Did it even find the We must have gotten collisions. What? But. Were we in a weird place? So. See, that's the thing is. Okay, so we were chopping. All good. We hit the object. And. We somehow never reset time. Time just kept ticking forward. I think I need to put a big giant log statement in when we get to here so that we can easily see it. Boink, boink, boink. Okay, so if time is less than lead and we don't do anything except for set kinematic scale to 0, but maybe we want to see. So unfortunate about the chat lag. It's clear that this is not right. I mean, but I'm still working on the forward swing problem, so we'll just deal with that for a second. Forward swing should put us over log info, reflected time t. All right. Time minus lead in, which will be 0 based. We present blah, 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 blah. So that's all the same. It's all the same as we do down here. But so let's just see if we see a bunch of those. So when you have so much logging, you gotta like make it look obvious when so to get things to stand out. But sometimes this is what software development's like, right? You just tweak something, try it, look at the math, get the math to work right. If this was in a different section of code, I could put that in Groovy code so that I could try it at runtime, but it's just not. So sometimes you just suck it up, run again. Sometimes waiting for it to load lets me think about it more anyway, and sometimes I come up with solutions while I'm waiting for it to load. Something to be said for having to stop and think for a minute. Okay, I might need to reset my blocks because, oh, that one reset itself. That's nice. Alright. So let's go back here so we can see what's happening. Oh, that scared me for a second. Person walking up behind me. Okay, so that's nice, slow, big, boink. Okay, hit just once. That's fine. Boink. that took something out on the backswing. And that took a whole bunch out on the front swing, so new contact, new contact, new contact. Did this happen before? Oops. Did this happen before? Yeah. So where is the first contact? We get so much output from a single contact that when it dragged itself through all that. Yeah, this is going to be hard. Okay, it says we're in recovery. Set K-sail. So we updated the object there. Ugh. It's just... Okay, so potentially this is where we were dragging along. Maybe this is where we got the new contact. It says we were in recovery, so this doesn't count. And so, yeah, none of these actually applied themselves. Until here, we actually got the chop object. But we're still in recovery. At least you guys can see me deep in thought now when I'm silent. Maybe I need to double check what makes chopping chop. I'm going to get rid of the contact information. So that's, we basically don't want, that's what I added, and that's why it's new contact. We don't want to know about the contact data at the moment. We just want to see all this logging. And then something, I think it's the player driver. That nothing set the kinematic scale though. But maybe that's the issue. We were in recovery, but we still somehow had a K-scale of what makes chopping chop. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Tune in to find out what makes chopping chop. So here we're in recovery, and somehow the kinematic scale is not 0. So that's bad. And so that would... So we get a new contact, and if we're in recovery, perhaps we should force it. Yeah. So the other thing is, like, essentially every time I set time, I should be resetting the kinematic scale. Potentially there are other factors that set the kinematic scale, but certainly every time I reset time, I should be resetting. So X down here is the time, so that's T. So in here, I'm going to do the same thing. So if T is greater than 1, we are in recovery. Otherwise, we smooth step T. Okay, so that is one problem. We were just leaving. We got a contact. Kinematics time was adjusted to be in recovery. No. So I think if we do this, we'll never chop anything, because we put ourselves, when we hit something, we put ourselves in recovery, and so now we're in recovery. But it's only if we are already in recovery and we get a contact that we want to reset. Otherwise, I believe we will null out the effect of any chopping. Like, we will never chop anything because kinematic scale will be 0 for everything we chop. Yeah, so gotta let that, okay. So is there anything else I want to capture? Player driver is what, this is what chopping chops. Actually, this is not what this is not what makes chopping chop. What makes chopping chop is the contact system, and the contact system uses the kinematic scale. So we're skipping kinematic scale with 0, and let's log the K velocity. Okay. Oh, we are. No, that's in the false branch. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Hey, we're up to 7 concurrent viewers. Friday night seems to be a good time for folks, I guess. I may consider doing a Sunday live stream, but we'll see how far I get. Like, as a kind of packaging the release, maybe. Alright. Let's make sure daylight happens. Okay, so we're back in. That's funny. Okay, so let's try this again. Big swing, and it hits. Bonk. Okay, that's fine. And then it hits and bonk. Okay, so we're doing good. We're no longer chopping through. All right. Okay. But we're also not stopping chopping. Stopping chopping. Right, we're supposed to immediately go into recovery there. So that's not happening. Okay, so let's let logging settle for a second. Because we're generating more logging than it can keep up with. Oh, is it good? Cool. Alright, let's bonk. That one worked. Okay, so oh, I know why. So we are all kinds of, I think time is wrapping and like nothing makes time wrap back around. If you get what I'm saying. So time starts at 0, goes through ramp up, goes through lead in. We subtract that to do our swing calculations. And when we hit 2, we're supposed to circle back to here. And so time would just continue in a loop. But I believe time itself keeps on rolling. Sorry, Boston reference. Time doesn't wait for me. Keeps on rolling. So yeah, so basically once time is greater than, is ramp up separate from lead in, or is ramp up included in lead in? So that is something I have to figure out. Either way, basically when we hit here, we need to reset time back to whatever this value is, lead in. I think it ramp up is included in the lead in. Whoa, wrong thing. So yeah, so it's basically time just keeps moving forward. Nothing is resetting time. Oh, except for we do right here. Only if time is less than 1. So for the second one, yeah. All right, we're getting somewhere. So see, time ever moving forward, nothing sets it back. Whereas, if time is less than ramp up, we set kinematic scale 0, we just dump out. Otherwise, time, if it was less than lead in, we did some stuff, and that's still going to happen eventually. But otherwise, the cycle is, and lead in does include the ramp up time. So here we're clamping it, but we never clamp time itself. And so do we want to? Or do we always want to work with normalized time like this? So the issue is time minus lead in, this needs to be %2, right? So if it's so basically time will wrap within this, like time will keep on marching, but how we interpret it will wrap. And then we would reset it here back to the beginning. That's fine. That's fine. In fact, I think it's fine to always do that. So basically we rebalance time, and since this down here is based on time, we could have actually based this on t. We've already calculated t. So that might explain why recovery. Alright, so we should chop, chop, chop now and not chop and then keep chopping and move through. We should always do the blowback. The reflection of time. Continue last world. Ron, you missed Wednesday night, right? You weren't on. Um, I asked a question of the chat about if anybody had any ideas on how to capture, like, I talked about I'm going to be building in sort of an artwork system into the game where you can, so like this, how it captured this image in kind of a painterly or drawing style, but then to be able to like paint on it, color it in, based on what you see. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out ways for people to share their creations, because one of the downsides about a large world is that it's possible to build cool stuff and nobody will ever see it because they didn't happen to walk through that part of the world, even on the server. And so I was trying to think of ways to share, basically make paintings and sell them and stuff, but also to share those with other people. Okay, so let's leave it in this mode so that we can see what we're doing. And we'll chop. Oops, we need to be a little closer. Okay, so we chop. And we should chop again. Chop. And we chop. Yeah, we chopped a little more out that time, didn't we? Chop. 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 Hey, that's a pretty cool looking chop right there, if I do say so myself. Ooh. So that recovery, got to do something about that too. Like I said, up and down's not working at the moment. So yeah, so like see when we're going on that backswing, we need to somehow send us back into like a holding pattern or something where we reset to 0. Because otherwise we end up like pulling ourselves in. But anyway, so that's working much better. Which means I can remove all that stupid logging. But we definitely need to work on something for recovery. I think if we hit something while we're in recovery, what happens if we reset time to 0? So maybe I did want to put this back. And I can reset this to ramp up at least. And then I do have to then do this, because this is not really how it's supposed to be. I'm going to do some shared code at some point instead of cut and pasting both of these into the same place. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. And I've been trying to think of like, back a long time ago, like you could post things in code, you could post them to Imgur. I think pretty sure nobody lets you do that anymore. I know that all of you screenshot tools that used to post directly to Imgur don't work anymore. But I would like some kind of gallery where people could post things. It might, it's certainly going to require moderation because everyone will just post penises, but big giant penis structures. Apparently that was a big problem with the Disney Infinity stuff, or was it Disney Infinity, or was it one of the games where they could construct their own stuff, and might have been a Lego World or something, and they had like a full-time staff that's only job was to go and find giant penises that people had made in the world, I guess, and they constantly try to figure out ways to keep players from making them, but then players are resilient and they will figure out a way to make a giant phallus. So any public posting would require some moderation, but like I would like to be able to show off cool pics that people make in an easy way, right? Where you could potentially send them to me, and without being ridiculous, right? Right now, it seems like that's not a big deal because there's not that many players. It would work pretty well. But I always try to think of how to scale it up. But yeah, because it could be that, like maybe you can sell a painting of a place, right? That you've constructed. You know, you put your easel up and you've decided, okay, I'm gonna, or like this cool mountain, right, with the airships there. And so I set up my easel and I paint this, and then encoded in the image is where it is. Like if you imagine it's written on the back, right? And so then I take that painting and I sell it to a vendor somewhere. And so some other player, I mean, this is not how to publicize it, but this is potentially an in-game thing, right? And so then some other player comes along and sees that vendor has that painting for sale, or could look at it in the library maybe. There's the library. And then find out where it is, and then they would have a quest to go find that location because they can see where it is, and they would have to like actually travel there and check it out. Maybe they could give the painting to a airship captain and say, "Can you fly me here?" I don't know. There's adventure opportunities, right? But that doesn't really help me with the how do you show it off to like a bunch of people who also play the game, and they go, "Oh, that's a cool thing," and then they join the world, and then they try to find that quest, right? Which vendor has that painting? I want to find it. Or which library? Anyway, just ideas I think about. Because I sort of miss the in the old Mythruna, everything was, I mean, it was bad and good, right? Everything was on top of each other. You couldn't walk 5 feet without running into some weird thing. But there's also like some brilliant stuff in there that was really cool to kind of run across, and all within, you know, this much space in this world, right? We can already see farther in this one view than the entire previous Mythruna server held. Like, walk all the way to the horizon and you've walked farther than anybody ever walked in the other game, you know, in general. All right, so what was I doing? I got off on a tangent. I'm going to have to recreate my block. So, yeah, what did I change? I made it so time resets when we're in recovery and we hit something. But that, I think that's going to make it so that as soon as we hit it, we won't. Yeah, so we just instantly go back. So that's not right either. Like, I have to come back. So we got a tree in the way. So maybe it needs to be something where we can temporary pause time. Yeah, see, I can't move up and down. But so what happens is we hit something, and then it instantly takes us back to 0, right? Because we're in recovery and we still hit something. And that's not really right. And now we're not even chopping anything. Yeah, because we hit recovery too soon. And it's not really what we want anyway, because if we're coming back from a swing, I wanted to go all the way through and then hit it on the backswing. Yeah, see, we got just jump right back. So that's not right either. So if we're in recovery and we hit something, we essentially want to pause our motion. And so I think what we want to do is, and then if t is less than 1.0, t equals 1.0. That's gonna potentially double hit some things, or is it gonna oscillate? Maybe we want to like give it some room. Either way, I'm going to have to add more blocks. So we're going to have to do some tool switching here for a second, because I'm running out of chopping material. I feel like we're getting close though. And having everything in slow motion is definitely helpful. Alright, time. Time. See what's become of me. Whoops. Oh, yeah. As I look around. Okay, there we go. I sometimes forget you guys are there looking at me. Alright. We are holding the wand. Let's make some stone pillars. Boink. Plenty far apart so that we are maybe not blocked by our own view. All right. Okay. Oh, that's cool. A little step down from chopping. Okay. Now we can put our axe back. Doink, 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 doink. All right. Let's come out back out here. Okay. We want to see what happens on the back swing. Okay. So we're going to swing like this. Ooh, we did chop in the end. It's coming all the way back. Oh, am I subtracting? I mean, that's exactly what I want to happen. But it was like way... Like, as it came back... Boink. See, it came all the way over. Okay, so there's something wrong in the math, but that's the gist of what I wanted when it was close to the end. So wait. So t must be greater than 1. And so why was it when we were almost complete? I'm only going to look at this for a minute because the behavior is not unacceptable. It's just not what I wanted. So like when we were nearly like 1.9, we subtract something. If it's less than that, we set it to that. Otherwise, we should leave it. Oh, well, I'm backwards. Right? No. Let me think. We're recovering. We got almost all the way here. And we hit something. So we want to move back a little bit. And go again. And back a little bit and go again. So we should just be able to move back 0.25. Maybe I'm moving back too much. In recovery, T, log info, go back, T. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, the selling of the paintings, maps are going to work in a similar way where you get to draw your own maps, and so you build tools. And then you can sell the maps, you can collect them in an atlas and potentially put them together. And so maps would have an accuracy, right? They won't, like, our overland map might be a, like the M that pop up the map might change significantly because eventually that'll be an atlas, and you would need the skill potentially to be able to map in order to create it. Or there's a certain amount of situational awareness you always have. And then you can use that then to, you know, draw different areas of the world in some level of detail, and then you buy and sell those and put them together and arrange them into an atlas. So you might get like rough here, but you might have like somebody has sold you a map with the town and details of this coastline, and then you can overlay them in your atlas and line it up based on your own personal player skill. And anyway, I'm getting way off topic. All right, so back to what we were doing here. So we want to start a swing, and then we want to, on the backswing, yeah, we chopped on the backswing, which is not good. Okay, but I think that's some of that's to be expected if we make it all the way back before and then start chopping, but I don't know why. Okay, so let's stop this for a second. Let's go over here. Can I, let's see, what do I have to do to, okay, so I'm just clearing the logs a little bit, right? So we set this up and bonk, 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 bonk. Okay, so I can see the recovery happening there, and we can go take a look, and I'm going to mark this. So, okay, so in recovery, and we blow back, but the blowback took us all the way. I wonder if we are getting into a situation where the animation is different than what is actually happening. So let's bring up the physics engine. Nope. Shoots all the way back over. Boink. Boink. Okay. And I left this running. I left that paused so that we weren't going to see anything. So why does it jump all the way back to, seemingly all the way back to 1.0? So see, we got a new contact, but we're in recovery. And so yes, we blew back to there, and that is our basis. I mean, that is our X value. We didn't do anything with this contact, that's also correct. And so we blew back further, and we blew back further still. That's what it is. I think that we rapidly get so many contacts in a row that we shoot back to 0 in like 3 frames, because 0.25 is a lot. So maybe we just need to reduce this to keep from blowing back so quickly. Essentially we want like the swing to course correct. So if we're on the back swing and we hit something, we don't want to jump back here, because then if we're still getting the contact, we'll jump back and back and back. Because that's the other thing, is we're going to get multiple contacts on the same frame, right? So all of these were on, nope, two of these were on the same frame. Alright, let's see what this does. I know what I have to do this weekend. I have to take that other machine apart and yank its hard drive, the dead one, and send it off to the data recovery people. See if I can get my music back. Doink. Okay. Come on. I feel like I'm in some kind of like Stonehenge. We've got ourselves a hinge. Alright, so we're checking the blowback. So we want to do this and then move over. So then we get a little, see, already, where is the contact? So blink, 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 blink. We got a million contacts right away, all in the same frame. So see, I'm listing the frame here. So we started at 1.58, we went back. All in the same frame, we got all those contacts. So what problems would it cause if I ignore all the other contact frames if we're in recovery? So I'm setting the debug frame, but that's not actually something I really have access to. what I need to do is capture frame time. Alright, let's, it's gonna get ugly. Hey Lando, how was Costco? Happy Friday to you as well, my friend. Last frame time. Double last recovery frame time. Alright, so we will set in here oops. So we'll keep track of the time of every frame. We'll get an update, I think, after all the contacts. Peanuts for the squirrels. Of all the things I thought you said you would say you went to Costco for, that was not high on the list. So let's log info frame update. I'm curious whether the updates happen before or after the contacts. I think we get contacts first. Okay, that's good. We already know. And so if we're in recovery, if last recovery frame time is greater than last frame time. Oh wait, it's less than last frame time. Else, we already had a contact this frame. So then we want to make sure to push it forward. Okay, so we'll only handle potentially one contact per frame if we're in recovery. And then, and that may actually be then not enough blowback, but we'll see. It'll self-recover at that point, because in the next frame it'll get a contact. Okay. But this will also keep from like zigzagging and dragging us into the whole thing. Something about this logic I don't like. It's probably going to be one of those things that I'll think of something better in the shower one day. Never underestimate the debugging capacity of a good shower. See, there's actually a block there. Ta-da. Alright. Back to test mode. Alright, so we're gonna swing and we're gonna boink, boink. Hey, look at that. That's perfect. Why did it do that? I think it finally caught up to falling back. That's what it was. It's working, yeah, it's working. You are absolutely right. So now we ought to be able to chop. Yeah, so something's up with the block signature stuff. Okay, so this should... Yeah, that's not right. Now this is not working right. It's sending us forward. So that math's messed up now. Okay, so why was that math messed up? We got new contact. But that's we're all in recovery, so that doesn't count. That's not the one we care about. Where's the one? Okay, let me start a fresh one. But I have to like free up the log. There we go. Okay, so we'll clear the log with a bunch of stuff and start the thing. Ramp. Okay. So scroll back. Scrolling back, just scrolling back. Checking out the emails. Alright. That's where I open and close the menus, right? Oh, I didn't put a space between the... so we start the animation. We're starting the animation. And that looks like we hit something. But we haven't hit anything yet. Yeah, we're still ramping up, so... There we go. We hit it! Boink! And so we reflected time. We shot ourselves forward. But in this case... Did we shoot ourselves forward enough? No. If we were 0.712, we were almost fully through our swing. Something's not right. Something is messed up with the math. Reflected time. Oh. We're not showing, we're showing the original time. And then, so it's not, it still has lead in it, and lead in is 0.2. So this is actually, you know, 0.512. Okay, so that's 0.512 is where we hit. Reflected, it should be that, but it should be taking us backwards. But then the problem is that immediately we're in recovery, and we're still going to be... We haven't actually started recovery yet. So I actually, like I talked about, I may actually have to model recovery. Like, because we don't know if I only base it on time, if I only base it on whole time, when I'm here, I don't know whether I'm here because I was reversing or I'm here because I was going forward. Right. Because if I'm... So this is all a reverse swing, right? But if I'm going this way through recovery and I hit something, I want to back up. But if I was already backing up, yeah, it's... something like that, right? So what happens is during our swing, we reflect time to move us ahead, to here. And so the idea being that, we would just finish out the swing, which would bring us back to rest position. But if bringing us here then is still colliding with something, then we start jumping back here, which is making us go back to the full extent of the swing, and that's not what we want, because we were never really in recovery. We forced recovery, but we never got a chance to do any recovery. So there's really nothing we can do other than sit where we are. Going forward might not be a good idea. Well, if we haven't been forward at all, yeah, I have to think about this. So we come through here, we hit ideal world. Well, for one thing, we can make sure that the very next hit isn't going to then immediately, like in the same frame. That may reduce the problem a bit. Little details. Little details. Man, it is hot in here. I may need some real whiteboard time with this problem. Yeah, because there's definitely a difference between recovery we've started versus recovery we were projected into. He's chopped off. It's kind of cool. Alright, so let's see what happens now when we try to chop. Boink. Yeah, see, we immediately jump through. Boink. Okay, see, and if I remove the recovery blowback stuff, you'll see that things will work okay. Like, if I remove this bit, right, poor man's Stonehenge, yeah, exactly. One of the random artifacts I want to have appear in the world to show off Mythruna's scale are these sort of big monoliths. Especially if I can... Yeah, I don't know. I might make them out of this stone because it reflects light really well. But, hold on. When the game comes in, I'll show you what I mean. I'm not going to make them because they would take hours to make by hand. But I have like the giant skull that appears sometimes in the world. But the idea that rarely, for some reason, and maybe there's a world generation significance for why they exist, but on the horizon, actually, like I tell you guys these secrets because I feel like you guys should get some rewards for joining me on the stream. But like off in the distance, you might see these, big stone, kind of rough pillars, like 100 meters tall kind of thing, with like circles carved into them that glow green because they've got green magic lights inside. Or something to that effect, right? So that off in the distance, it's like something that just draws the eye to the horizon. Beyond beyond these little things, but you'd see these sort of big giant pillars, and they might have meanings. Maybe that's where magic ley lines or something happen or whatever. I don't know, but visually I have this idea. All right, let's try chopping now. Boink. See, that's the way we want it to work. Maybe not like throwing us back so far, but this is actually perfect. We chop into things and oops, boink. Yeah, but see, now we're back to having the recovery problem. But like I said, I think I'm gonna have to model recovery more specifically. Yeah, all right, so let's I think I'm gonna have to like work that out, but like you guys see kind of what the issue is. Real quickly, I'm going to kind of comment out my logging and put speed back to normal, so anybody who wasn't here on Wednesday can kind of see what we got working now. Of course, this is not like I've screwed up the curves. So the animation is going to look really janky because it's not doing its exponential curve like it was. So the speed's going to be all linear and so on. But at least now it'll be regular speed and we can... Oh, you know what I didn't do? Shoot. Come on, come on, come on. I want to exit. I didn't put pitch back. Well, I'll do it while that's waiting. So... Y equals pitch. Do I do anything else with Y? Nope, normally I just set... Yeah, we'll just set Y to pitch, that's fine. And same here. Alright. So I just wanted to, before I like knock off for the night, I just wanted to show you guys who weren't here on Wednesday the chopping of the partial blocks and stuff working in full. I still need to add some particle effects or something. But I want to get the chopping working right before I start having the chips fly. Maybe I'll make some wood blocks for us to chop too. Gosh, there's always so much to do. I think like Sunday, I'm just gonna call it. Although, you know, if we did wait till the 4th of July, I have a 4-day weekend. So I'll do like a evaluation Sunday afternoon. Decide this weekend is significant for a release. Alright, so we've got the thing there. We should be able to like chop into it. Boink, boink, boink. So we got the partial blocks working where we can get these little, you know, the wedges. Which is kind of cool. And we can chop up and down and left and right and so on. Yeah, I need to, it's interesting how they're so dark until you chop the top out of them, because they internally self-light, but they don't know that they're not, they don't know that they're in the middle of the sun until you chop their top off. But check it out, like, oh man, we even get like some camera shake and stuff. I think that's kind of cool as we hit things. Now imagine like chunks of rock and stuff flying off as we do that. I think it'll be cool. So then if we let these sit, they're going to fall back to partial blocks, you know, within, after 5 minutes. So let's let that sit for a second while I make some, not T, E. I want to make a wood block. I just want to see what the wood looks like. It's got fewer the wood texture gets weird in these, so I just wanted to try it out. Let's get back the axe. Let's get the lit side. Doink, 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 doink. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. That means you could go in here with your axe and like chop through buildings and stuff. Yes, if we waited here for a minute, that would resolve. Trying to think, where's the nearest building we could chop up? There's a farm over there. Farm right there. Should we go chop up the farm? So let me take a screenshot of these and we'll see what they turn into when we come back. Let's go over to that farm. Just chopping it up at the farm. Boy, that farmer's got kind of an island in the middle of this thing. Yes, let's chop this up. Doink, doink. Yeah, so the textures are not right, but we can chop out the pillars. I think it's cool. All right, let's chop a hole in the wall. Doink, 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 doink. Yeah, there's not as many of the different kinds of blocks for the cobble, so it likewise for the, I'm okay with that. I think it's kind of neat that different materials would have like different shapes they carve into naturally. So we're chopping a hole in the wall here. Hey, this is cool. I mean, isn't that neat? I mean, I think it's cool. I don't see a lot of games do that. Let's chop a little bit of this wall out. So, you know, movement-wise, it's a little clunky, but I feel like we're onto something, and a lot of this can get worked out, right? It's entirely doable, and of course, being able to chop something up like a creature. The only downside is going to be that you have to be like really close to the creature. So let's see what happened to our Stonehenge over here. Okay, so this guy fell back. One of them did. He fell back to the simplified block that most closely fit. It hasn't been 5 minutes yet for this guy or this bottom guy, I guess. So they've got to fall back. Does anybody have any questions as I wrap things up here? Let's look at that while it's ticking away. I don't know how much time it has left before it falls back to a regular block. Oh, there it goes, right while we were sitting there. See, yeah, so it figured out something close. Actually, it's rotated funny, so there may be a rotational issue. I would have expected it to be the rotated version of that. All right, then. Thanks for joining, guys. I hope you guys have a productive weekend and any of your creative efforts work out for you. I hope my creative efforts work out for me this weekend. Really like to get a release out into your guys' hands and start making more frequent releases and maybe little less ambitious goals. But anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys don't mind seeing my face, or maybe you like that. I like it just because I don't feel like I need to fill air the whole time, because if you're seeing me going, you know, I'm thinking, I don't have to say, gee, I'm really thinking about that. You guys can see it. Anyway, so let me go ahead and kick off the thanks. Thanks for watching. You know, like, comment, and subscribe. It does seem to matter to YouTube, even if it's just a few likes and comments and so on. And I will once again thank the patrons, and I will mention that right under there, next under Donald McLean, there should be Adrian B, who's became a member today, I think. So that'll be there next live stream. I'll have that fixed. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.